Aliens are out there, and the James Webb Space Telescope has proven it. Bust out the champagne and get ready to celebrate. Or panic. It's only a matter of time before contact is made with ET. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope turned its intergalactic gaze toward K2-18b, a so-called super-Earth 120 light-years away from our Earth. When scientists analyzed its atmosphere, they found something unbelievable. The atmosphere of this faraway yet familiar world contains traces of carbon dioxide and methane. Those are some classic signs of life. But there are a lot of planets out there with carbon dioxide in their atmospheres. What made things extra spicy with K2-18b is that scientists identified hints of dimethyl sulfide, a molecule that on Earth is only produced by life, specifically by ocean phytoplankton. Dimethyl sulfide should not exist in a planet's atmosphere unless there are living creatures on the surface. Finding this molecule floating around the atmosphere would be like walking into an empty kitchen and smelling fresh cookies. Something or someone had to put it there. When news of the discovery dropped, people started freaking out. Headlines popped up all over the internet. Alien memes exploded. Somewhere a sci-fi writer spilled their coffee in excitement. But does the discovery prove alien life is indeed lurking close by in our galaxy? The answer is a little more complex than a simple yes or no. Would I love to say that the James Webb Space Telescope picked up city lights on Mercury or a sprawling alien city on one of Saturn's moons? Not really, because that sounds terrifying. But anyway, it doesn't matter because that's not what scientists have found. Researchers at the University of California recently threw a big old bucket of science on the telescope's discovery. A new batch of research suggests that the telescope's original dimethyl sulfide detection might not have been real after all. Dr. Shang-Min Tsai, a UCR scientist on the case, said that the dimethyl sulfide signal from the telescope wasn't very strong, and it only showed up in certain ways when analyzing the data. Basically, this whole situation was like seeing Bigfoot in a blurry photo. Was it really him, or just a guy in a fuzzy suit? When the UCR team ran the data through more advanced computer models, they found that the supposed dimethyl sulfide signal likely got mixed up with methane, making it really hard to tell if it was there or if it was just methane photobombing the data. So what? No aliens? This is where things get controversial. Scientists identified trace signals of molecules that couldn't exist without alien life, thereby proving that aliens exist. But then when the public started going nuts about aliens, suddenly scientists made a mistake. Also, keep in mind what alien life means. It could mean simple life like plankton or sea creatures or reptiles or creatures that look nothing like what we know. It doesn't necessarily mean intelligent life like humans. But on the other hand, there could be life more advanced than us. Who's to say? K2-18b is the perfect planet to host life. It's in the habitable zone of its star, or as we like to call it, the Goldilocks zone. That means it's not too hot, not too cold, just right to host liquid water. Scientists think K2-18b could be an ocean world covered in vast, deep seas, kind of like Earth, but with a hydrogen-rich atmosphere instead of nitrogen. The planet also gets almost the same amount of solar radiation as Earth, meaning if conditions are right, life could be thriving under all that water. Imagine a planet of krakens, a planet where sea monsters, merpeople, jellyfish, and who knows what else lurks in an ocean bigger than anything you can imagine. Maybe there are aliens on the planet living in underwater cities. How cool would that be? And K2-18b is only one distant exoplanet. There are millions of them, each one possibly home to a bizarre alien civilization. Even if K2-18b turns out to be a false lead, Dr. Eddie Schweiderman, an astrobiologist at UCR, is optimistic that alien life will be found. What do you think? Are you optimistic about it or a little nervous? Rover finds Mars teeming with UFOs. Mars photographs taken by NASA's Curiosity rover are jam-packed with UFOs and other weird stuff that I'm very excited to share with you. Some of the photos might be nothing but weirdly shaped rocks, but there are some that even the naysayers can't come up with an explanation for. The red planet isn't just a barren wasteland of rocks and dust. It's a cosmic hotspot filled with flying saucers, fossilized human fingers, and some very out-of-place footwear. NASA's Curiosity rover has been snapping pictures like a tourist on their first trip to Europe. Within its first 2 weeks on the job, it had already caught some anomalies on camera that had conspiracy theorists foaming at the mouth. The first big whoopsie was the Horizon anomaly. Excitement kicked off immediately when the rover's first sequence of photos showed a hazy object mysteriously appearing and disappearing on the Martian horizon. It looked as if aliens were coming in and out of the shot in their spaceships. Everyone on the internet cried, "Aha, aliens!" And even NASA scientists were puzzled. It was a huge fiasco right until scientists dismissed the object as nothing but a plume of dust. Okay, that's a little disappointing, but what about the 4 flying saucers that it captured hovering over Mars? Footage of the mysterious flying vehicles was uploaded to YouTube, but no sooner had they gone viral than experts started denouncing the footage as fake. Mark D'Antonio of MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, was one of the naysayers. He came along to rain on the alien parade. According to D'Antonio, those flying saucers were nothing but dead pixels in Curiosity's camera. Our intergalactic visitors were, in fact, technological glitches. As D'Antonio explained, dead pixels are normal in cameras and just happen to stand out more in Mars' blank, dusty landscape. That's almost too much disappointment to take. But what about this rover image? Notice the huge gray finger. Is it a rock, or is it proof that alien humanoids lie dead and fossilized all over Mars? And what about this picture from NASA's Curiosity rover? It appears to be a coffin. It's about 3.2 feet long and 1.4 feet wide. It's barely visible in the dry brown landscape, but you can clearly see there is something hidden there. Maybe it's not a coffin, maybe it's a piece of machinery. Most terrifying of all, behold the Martian lizard. At least that's what people say it looks like. Mainstream scientists debunk the lizard as nothing but a rock, of course. But it does sort of look like a reptile. What do you think about all of these pictures? At the end of the day, NASA's Curiosity rover is doing an incredible job exploring Mars, but it hasn't uncovered an alien metropolis just yet. Hopefully, the next rover to Mars gets some improved video capabilities so we can watch the skies for passing alien ships. And now for a quick break because it's shoutout time! I want to give a big thank you to Keke Bitsuku and Christy Cormier for supporting this channel. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this. The alien abduction of Paulo Coutinho. Aliens, telepathy, big-nosed humanoids, things are about to get very weird. This is the terrifying true story of when Paulo Coutinho was taken by aliens against his will. On the night of June 23, 1976, 18-year-old Paulo Coutinho experienced something that would change his life forever. At around 11:45 p.m., after leaving his night school class, Paulo encountered a bizarre sight that defied all logic. There was a giant 650-foot-long reddish-gray cigar-shaped UFO hovering in the sky. Then, because things weren't already weird enough, out came a short humanoid figure with a big head, pointed ears, and a pig-like nose. This oinkish alien was wearing a tight bluish-gray suit with a chest emblem, like it belonged to Starfleet or something. Before Paulo could process what was happening, his casual walk home turned into an alien abduction. When Paulo failed to return home that night, a friend found his school books scattered in the street around midnight. Panic set in and the police got involved. But the real shock came the next evening when Paulo's father, Jose Alves, suddenly had a gut feeling that his son was nearby. Moments later, groaning sounds led them to the back garden where Paulo was discovered lying on the steps. He was half conscious and ice cold, like he'd been dumped there hours earlier. He was rushed to the hospital where things kept on getting weirder. The police officer who carried Paulo to the ambulance developed an unexplained skin irritation, and the ballpoint pens in Paulo's pocket turned out to be radioactive. According to Paulo, he heard a mysterious whistling sound all day before his abduction. After dropping his girlfriend home, he noticed a strange moving light in the sky, which was definitely not an airplane. Suddenly, he froze in place, unable to scream or move. The light descended, and that's when he saw the 3 small humanoid beings with those pig-nosed, bald, and eerily expressionless features. Before he knew it, Paulo was levitating toward the enormous UFO. As he got closer, the reddish craft turned metallic gray, and a horizontal door opened, pulling him inside. Paulo found himself in a circular, dimly lit room with 3 silent beings staring at him. When he tried to move, he was paralyzed and received a telepathic message reassuring him he wouldn't be harmed. Then things escalated. A wall vanished, revealing a larger room with 6 more beings. The room was empty with no visible light sources or furniture. The aliens told Paulo that they were investigating the origins of life on Earth. As Paulo struggled to comprehend what was happening, he noticed 3 of the beings looked different. He was informed these were females, yet he was also told the alien species had no sexual reproduction. Their children were created in laboratories and assigned specific roles in their society. Next thing Paulo knew, he was back in his garden, half-conscious, hearing his parents talking inside the house. His story was investigated, and the radioactive objects found on him only added credibility to his claims. Meanwhile, multiple witnesses, including a neighbor who saw a glowing UFO hovering above the Coutinho house, fueled speculation that something really did happen that night. With its vivid details, physical evidence, and multiple eyewitnesses, the Paulo Coutinho abduction case remains one of the most fascinating and baffling encounters in UFO history. The James Webb Telescope broke science. The James Webb Space Telescope just threw a cosmic wrench into everything scientists thought they knew about the universe. You know that feeling when you find an old text message that completely changes your understanding of an old conversation? Well, astronomers sort of had that moment, but with the entire history of the universe. Let me try to explain what happened. Scientists spotted 6 massive ancient galaxies that by all logic should not exist, like at all. These things are so big that they have been nicknamed universe breakers. If they are real, which they seem to be, they could destroy everything astronomers thought they knew about how galaxies form. The Big Bang Theory could be disassembled and thrown out. Imagine spending decades building a giant, complicated puzzle only for James Webb to waltz in and casually drop 6 extra pieces on the table. Scientists may never put together the puzzle of the universe. Dr. Joel Leja, an astrophysicist at Penn State, said the newly found galaxies are way more massive than anyone expected. Scientists were anticipating cute little baby galaxies, but instead they found fully grown, Milky Way-sized cosmic beasts. The James Webb Space Telescope, which launched in December 2021, is the most powerful time machine humans have ever built. You can't physically travel back to 1987, but with this telescope you can see into deep space, which is like looking backwards in time. When researchers sifted through the telescope's early data, Dr. Erica Nelson from the University of Colorado noticed something strange. While analyzing the telescope's images, she saw a bunch of suspiciously bright red fuzzy blobs. In astronomy, red means old. The further away a galaxy is from Earth, the longer its light has been stretched due to the expansion of the universe. It's a process called redshifting. Based on that redness, these galaxies seem to be about 13.5 billion years old. They would have theoretically formed about 700 million years after the Big Bang. Let me put that into perspective. According to everything science tells us, galaxies shouldn't have had time to grow that big that fast. It would be like checking in on a newborn baby and discovering it already has a mortgage and a retirement plan. If these galaxies really are as massive as they seem, some fundamental rules of cosmology may need to be revised. Dr. Nelson said the galaxies should not have had time to form, and even called the whole situation bananas. You know, when an astrophysicist uses the word bananas, things are serious. Traditionally, scientists believed that after the Big Bang, there was a Dark Ages period. It was a time when the universe was just chilling, cooling down, and getting its cosmic act together before stars and galaxies started forming. But if these massive galaxies were already thriving so early, it means the Dark Ages weren't all that dark after all. Star formation might have kicked off way earlier than anyone thought. The Big Bang may not have been the spark that created the universe. Scientists may not have any clue how the universe was created. Do you see why these distant red galaxies are such an issue? They are trying to disprove the theory of creation itself. Just try to think of how many worlds, how many alien empires and primitive kingdoms have risen and fallen over the past 13 billion years. It's enough to give you a headache. Have scientists confirmed the hollow moon conspiracy? Who remembers 1969? I don't, because I wasn't alive, but I do know that bell-bottoms were in, the Beatles were at their peak, and humans had just set foot on the moon for the first time. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the lunar surface in a place called the Sea of Tranquility. All these years later, scientists have just found something shocking in that exact same spot. They have unearthed a giant underground cave that could prove the whole moon is hollow. Cue the dramatic music! Did you know we are heading back to the moon soon? NASA's Artemis program is planning to return humans to the moon really soon, and this new discovery could be a game changer. Future moon explorers might trade their space tents for a nice, cozy cave. The underground cavern might be the location of the first lunar lofts in our galaxy. While scientists see the cave as a potential moon base, the internet, in all its infinite wisdom, has other ideas. Some are claiming the cave proves the legendary hollow moon theory. This theory has been around for centuries, maybe even for thousands of years, since the first civilizations looked to the moon in wonder. Some say the moon is completely hollow because it's not a rock, but rather an abandoned alien spaceship, or possibly an extraterrestrial drone spying on Earth. There are even those who believe the moon was a Nazi hideout, and there are those who think the moon is fake, just a high-tech projection on some cosmic IMAX screen. Why are there so many crazy theories about this? Scientists say it's all silly science fiction. In reality, the cave is part of an ancient lava tube that collapsed a long time ago. Scientists used radar data from NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter to peek inside the cave. They identified a cavern going about 500 feet deep, big enough to fit several Olympic swimming pools, but the cave did not lead to a hollow moon. Aside from this newly uncovered pit, in which our astronauts might camp out in a few years, what proof is there that the moon is hollow? Here's something NASA rarely talks about. In 1969, Apollo 12 astronauts deliberately crashed part of their spacecraft into the moon, and it had an unexpected effect. The moon vibrated for hours afterward. NASA described it as ringing like a bell. If the moon wasn't hollow, why would it ring? James Webb found what on Jupiter? Get out of the way, Mars. It's time for Jupiter's 15 minutes of fame. The James Webb Space Telescope, aka the galaxy's most powerful paparazzi, has been out snapping photos of the farthest corners of the universe. But this time, it turned its camera on something a little closer to home: Jupiter. It turns out the gas giant has more mysterious features and cosmic quirks than astronomers could have anticipated. In a study published in Nature Astronomy, scientists zoomed in on the atmosphere above Jupiter's Great Red Spot. That spot is Jupiter's most famous feature, a massive storm that has been raging for centuries and could easily swallow Earth like a snack-sized bag of chips. It makes every hurricane in human history look like a wimpy windstorm. You'd think a storm that big would have been studied from every possible angle by now, right? But it turns out astronomers had pretty much written off that particular patch of atmosphere as the boring part of Jupiter. Rookie mistake. Henrik Mellon from the University of Leicester said he and his team thought the Great Red Spot would be boring. They were dead wrong. You may have seen those stunning pictures of Jupiter's northern and southern lights. They're the planet's version of throwing a rave at the poles. But there is another, sneakier glow hiding out in Jupiter's upper atmosphere, like the universe's version of mood lighting. This glow has been playing hard to get with ground-based telescopes for years. Luckily, James Webb doesn't take no for an answer. Thanks to its high-tech infrared sensors, Webb can pick up on the faintest glimmers of light. The telescope's 2022 observations revealed what the European Space Agency dramatically described as intricate structures in Jupiter's upper atmosphere. Something is hiding in Jupiter's skies, causing weird glowing action. Scientists think the answer lies in Jupiter's sandwich zone, the place where the planet's lower atmosphere meets its magnetic field. It's a chaotic region where wild gravitational interactions are always crashing the party. According to Mellon, these glowing patterns could be caused by gravity waves, ripples of energy traveling through the atmosphere like waves in the sand. The theory goes that these waves are kicked up by the turbulent mess around the Great Red Spot. Then they travel all the way up to the upper atmosphere, leaving behind a glowing trail. With follow-up observations on the way, astronomers are hoping to figure out exactly how these gravity waves ripple through Jupiter's skies, and maybe crack a few more of the gas giant's secrets along the way. For now, all I can say is that scientists understand diddly squat about what's happening on Jupiter. There doesn't appear to be any alien life, but there is a lot of weird stuff going on between the storms, lights, and bizarre structures hidden within its atmospheres. The Queen knew the truth. I have a shocking revelation for you. The late Queen Elizabeth II may have been more into UFOs than your average sci-fi nerd with a telescope and a stack of X-Files DVDs. A new documentary claims that Her Majesty was well aware of the infamous Rendlesham Forest UFO incident, also known as the British Roswell. She even got a top secret briefing on it. Directed by ufologist and author Mark Christopher Lee, the documentary suggests that Queen Elizabeth was briefed on the event by none other than Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher in 1983. This came after a sensational headline reading, "UFO lands in Suffolk." According to a palace insider, Thatcher reportedly told the Queen that the incident was so bizarre the public could never be told the truth. Retired CID police officer John Hansen, now a full-time UFO investigator, claims that he personally sent books about the Rendlesham case to both Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. Their response? They added them to their personal UFO library. That's right, the royal family apparently has a collection of books on flying saucers. Hansen kept in touch with them until the Queen's passing and remained convinced that she and Prince Philip had a genuine, deep-rooted interest in the extraterrestrial and paranormal. If you're unfamiliar with the Rendlesham case, it's basically the biggest UFO story in English history. A ship touched down in the forest near RAF Woodbridge, which at the time was being used by the U.S. Air Force. Servicemen saw the lights, saw it land, and the police found the impressions in the ground where the ship briefly parked for a while. It's a case so convincing that it's changed the minds of hardcore skeptics. The amazing thing is that the Queen herself was briefed on it. What else does the royal family know about UFOs and aliens? Evidence of Dyson spheres. So, you thought your electricity bill was high? Imagine trying to pay for a whole star's worth of power. Yep, aliens might be dealing with that, and we might have found their receipt. This is the real deal. Scientists have found evidence of alien megastructures, which they think could be enormous extraterrestrial energy harvesters known as Dyson spheres. These are machines so big they can suck the energy from stars. Think of it like a cosmic Roomba, but instead of dust bunnies, it is hoovering up stellar power. It takes a very advanced civilization to wrap an entire star in solar panels to harness its energy. It seems like something you'd expect a creepy Star Wars villain to attempt, but according to British-American physicist Freeman Dyson, it's something that exists right now somewhere in space. In 1960, Dyson theorized that advanced aliens could use stars like you use AA batteries, but instead of powering one tiny remote, the aliens would use a whole star to power their entire civilization. These galactic batteries became known as Dyson spheres. Freeman Dyson suggested that if such energy suckers existed, their infrared radiation signature would be detectable from Earth. Decades later, scientists are finally putting that theory to the test. In 2024, astronomers flagged 7 potential candidates for Dyson spheres. A study published in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society analyzed data from 5 million stars in the Milky Way. That's a crazy number of stars, presumably with about 10 times as many planets orbiting them. The analysis was done using infrared observations from NASA's WISE telescope and ESA's Gaia Observatory. The team, led by Matthias Suaso of Uppsala University, found 7 stars emitting unexplained infrared radiation. It's a clue that something artificial is surrounding them. These 7 stars appear to be having their energy drained by Dyson spheres. But don't get too excited just yet. Before anyone starts waving the aliens confirmed flag, Suazo and his team acknowledge that other natural explanations could account for the findings. There might be a galaxy in the background overlapping with the star. There could be planetary collisions creating hot debris clouds, or they might be young stars still surrounded by protoplanetary disks. Astronomers also warned that many previous Dyson sphere candidates have turned out to be dust-obscured galaxies rather than alien engineering marvels. Still, this is huge news. If confirmed, Dyson spheres would be game changers in our understanding of advanced civilizations. It would prove that intelligent life has mastered star-scale energy harnessing, possibly enabling interstellar travel, or even the ability to move entire solar systems. Do you think Dyson spheres are real? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to support the channel. The dark side of the moon. The moon has been keeping secrets from us. For centuries, it's been a mysterious, crater covered rock hanging in the night sky, inspiring myths and sci fi stories. Now, thanks to a groundbreaking mission from China's space program, we just got a peek beneath the surface. What scientists found deep under the moon's dark side is going to shock you. But first, let me clear something up. The dark side of the moon isn't actually dark. It gets just as much sunlight as the side we always see from Earth. It never faces Earth because of a phenomenon called tidal locking. The moon rotates at the same speed it orbits Earth, so we only ever see one half of it. The other side was a complete mystery until now. Meet China's Chang'e 4 lander, which made history in 2018 by becoming the first spacecraft to land on the moon's dark side. Since then, it's been busy taking stunning photos, collecting mineral samples, and peering deep beneath the lunar surface to uncover hidden layers of the moon's past. The latest discovery paints the moon in a whole new light. Scientists found 5 distinct layers of ancient lava flows buried over 130 feet deep. It seems the moon used to be a lava-covered hellscape billions of years ago. I bet you didn't realize the moon was once covered in lava. Scientists used to think the moon's volcanoes shut down for good over 1 billion years ago. But this new research hints that magma reservoirs may still exist deep beneath the surface. Humans might land on the moon, only to be destroyed by a Pompeii-level catastrophe. Scientists now know the dark side of the moon is riddled with mysterious subsurface structures, which are likely volcanic in origin. It would be cool if the subsurface structures were alien bases, but so far, there's no evidence of that. The next time you look up at the night sky, picture the moon as one big cheese-shaped volcano ready to spew lava all over astronauts. You're welcome. Planet X. Is it real? Apparently, we might have a 9th planet hiding way out there. For over a century, astronomers have speculated about a hidden planet lurking at the edge of our solar system. This planet is said to be the secret home of the aliens who came to Earth and biologically engineered human beings tens of thousands of years ago. No pressure on the telescopes. Science didn't put much faith in this hypothetical planet until something amazing happened that shocked everyone. In January 2016, Caltech researchers Konstantin Batygin and Mike Brown shook up the space world by presenting evidence of an unseen planet orbiting far beyond Pluto. But here's the catch. No one has technically seen it yet. Nicknamed Planet X, this hypothetical Neptune-sized world is estimated to be 5 to 10 times the mass of Earth. It could take a mind-bending 10,000 to 20,000 years to complete a single orbit around the Sun. That's longer than the entire recorded history of human civilization. Earth completes the same trip in 365 days. Let's check out the evidence. Astronomers identified gravitational oddities in the Kuiper Belt, a distant region of icy debris beyond Neptune. Some dwarf planets and other small objects in the region follow oddly clustered orbits, leading scientists to suspect a massive planet's unseen gravitational influence. Caltech's team crunched the numbers and proposed that a large unknown planet is tugging on these objects, pulling them into alignment. If true, it would fill a major gap in our solar system. The thing is, most star systems have exoplanets, which are larger than Earth but smaller than Neptune. Our solar system has none, unless, of course, Planet X exists. Until 2006, Pluto was considered the 9th planet in our solar system. Then, the International Astronomical Union controversially reclassified it as a dwarf planet. I still miss Pluto. Anyone else? When Batygin and Brown proposed their new planet in 2016, they dubbed it Planet 9, but the name Planet X stuck around because, let's be honest, it just sounds cooler. Right now, some of the most powerful telescopes in the world are on the hunt for this elusive giant, including the Keck Observatory and Subaru Telescope, both of which are in Hawaii. And we have the Rubin Observatory in Chile, which is expected to begin operations in 2025. This observatory will conduct a 10-year sky survey that may help pinpoint Planet X's location. NASA even launched a citizen science initiative called Backyard World's Planet 9. It allows the public to search for the elusive world using infrared images from the WISE mission. If Planet X is found, space will be changed forever. There could be a whole new world, one that may have once been inhabited by our own creators, hiding at the edge of our little cosmic neighborhood. Do you think we'll ever find it? Be sure to stay tuned for extra content you might have missed. Space auroras. Auroras are some of the most beautiful natural occurrences that light up the night sky. But what we know of as the aurora borealis, or the northern and southern lights, is actually a space phenomenon that is not unique to our planet. Auroras are also quite a bit more complicated than just pretty lights in the night sky. It starts with a stream of charged particles flowing out from our sun. This plasma is then deflected by the Earth's magnetic field. But the field acts kind of like a glove, snagging some of these plasma particles and pushing them along the magnetic field lines to the north and south poles. These particles then plunge into our atmosphere, colliding with the oxygen and nitrogen atoms. The collisions release energy in the form of light particles, also known as photons. And this is exactly what an aurora is: energy from the sun exploding in our atmosphere. Scientists have discovered auroras on several other planets. Saturn and Jupiter have auroras so powerful that they heat up their entire atmospheres. Some scientists believe this could be why the planets are so warm, even though they are so far from the sun. The heat that is generated because of all those energy particles getting stuck in the atmospheres keeps the temperature warm. In fact, 2 of Jupiter's moons also experience auroras. Europa and Ganymede have colorful auroras, and so too does Comet 67P/Churyumov-Gerasimenko. Comets are able to form auroras when they are stricken by solar wind molecules that get stuck in the shroud of gas surrounding the comet. Did you know that? Moon cube. Just a few weeks ago, scientists all over the world were talking about the mysterious hut that a Chinese rover discovered on the moon. It all happened when China's Yutu-2 rover spotted the object on the horizon, looking like the ramshackle hut of some kind of moon hermit. Speculation exploded, with some suggesting it could be the leftover ruin of some unknown moon civilization. Some said it could be an alien base. People were going wild with excitement and theories abounded. The wait is finally over, and China's rover has finally reached the mysterious object. It's now being called a moon cube, because it's nothing but a cube of rock. It took a few weeks of driving, but the rover is now close enough to see that the mysterious shack isn't so mysterious after all. It only looked so geometrically perfect from a distance because of light, perspective, and shadow. Now that the rover is close enough to see it in great detail, scientists say it looks more like a rabbit than a hut. It even has small rocks in front of it that look like pieces of a carrot. Scientists have named the rock Yutu, same as the rover, which is Chinese for jade rabbit. What was almost an alien outpost on the moon is really just a crumbling piece of debris in the shape of a fuzzy Earth animal. Strands of mystery. At the core of the Milky Way galaxy, there are a multitude of strange features. Scientists have identified somewhere around 1,000 mysterious magnetic strands hovering in the center of our galaxy that they can't understand. The cluster of strands, like galactic pieces of hair, stretch for over 150 light-years in length. Each strand is spaced equally from the next, creating a bizarre structure many millions of years old and very strange. It almost looks like a massive harp with all of its strings neatly lined up. But the nature of the strands is a mystery. Professors of physics and astronomy at Northwestern University believe each strand is made up of cosmic ray electrons with magnetic fields moving at about the speed of light. But their origin is elusive. The radiation is unlike what's left behind after major cosmic events like a supernova. One of the more bizarre theories is that the strands of magnetic matter could be the final vestiges of activity of a supermassive black hole. In the end, we don't yet know what these things are, what created them, or what relevance they have in the universe. Scientists are still trying to figure out the mystery of the galactic center, where all kinds of strange phenomena have been documented in recent years. What do you think the magnetic strands could be? Tell me your theories in the comments. Aliens on Mars. The Curiosity rover on Mars discovered a strange mixture of chemical elements that could point to the existence of alien life on the red planet. It's not a sure thing, but it does inspire some hope, if that's what you're into. The rover identified carbon in the sediment of the Gale crater during its travels there between August of 2012 and July of 2021. 24 powder samples were heated by the robot to separate each individual chemical. This revealed a variation of carbon-12 and carbon-13 isotopes. And if you know anything about the creation of life on our own planet, you'll know that carbon plays a key role. But the presence of the carbon may just be a coincidence. The carbon could have come from a molecular cloud of dust, or it may have come from the conversion of CO2 to organic compounds through a process that has nothing to do with biology. It could have just been ultraviolet light and trace amounts of CO2. Or it could mean aliens. This last theory, and arguably the most interesting, is that microbes were converting methane through biological processes. This would mean life. What happened to that life, what it may have looked like, and how long it lasted before utter devastation is still a mystery. However, the samples of carbon-13 are almost identical to samples of carbon-13 found in Australia, from sediment over 2.7 billion years old. If there was life on Mars, it was probably a very, very long time ago. Weird space rock. People often get confused between comets and asteroids. They are both celestial objects, they both hang out in space, and so it's not surprising that they seem so similar. But they are very different. Comets come from the outer solar system and have elliptical orbits. Comets are filled with ice that then sublimates as they get closer to the sun, creating a dusty atmosphere that looks like a blazing tail. On the other hand, asteroids are found in the main asteroid belt of our galaxy, between the planet Mars and Jupiter. Asteroids have orbits more closely resembling the orbits of planets. They also aren't formed of ice, but are basically giant rocks. Scientists have now discovered a fascinating mixture of both. It's called, are you ready for it? 248370 2005 QN173. I know, that's a terrible name for anything. But, these are astronomers we're talking about, perhaps more focused on discovery than creative naming. The newly found space rock is a hybrid between a comet and an asteroid. It was found loitering in the asteroid belt, but it shows signs of outgassing as it gets near the sun. It also has the tail of a comet. Scientists have identified less than 10 of these strange hybrid objects. Henry Tsai of the Planetary Science Institute says 248370 is both an asteroid and a comet. It fits the physical definitions of a comet, but has the orbital pattern of an asteroid. It doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but it's always fascinating when astronomers find new bodies out in space. Mystery object. Astronomers were mapping radio waves across the universe when they discovered a celestial object unlike anything humans have ever encountered before. This object is releasing massive bursts of energy every 18 minutes. When it was first discovered, astronomers were shocked to see that its beams of radiation 3 times an hour were the brightest source of radio waves in the sky. Whatever this object is, it seems to be acting like a celestial lighthouse. Astronomers haven't identified it, but say it might be the remnant of a collapsed star with a very powerful magnetic field. It could be a dead neutron star, or a dead white dwarf, or something completely different. According to the astrophysicists at the International Center for Radio Astronomy Research, the object appears and disappears every few hours. It's like a ghost, which is alarming because nothing else in the sky does that. And it's not even like it's too far away. The object is only 4,000 light-years from Earth, practically in our backyard. Some have begun speculating that it could be some kind of alien mothership sending out radio waves. We just don't know how to read them. And while that would be amazing, maybe, chances are it's probably just a dead star. The problem is that scientists can't quite figure out how to look at it yet. All they know is that this invisible thing is there, and it's beaming out a relentless signal. What do you think it could be? Are you hoping it's alien life? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already for more videos about space and other discoveries. Fresh plutonium. Scientists have made a very strange discovery from space right here on planet Earth. By studying a piece of the Earth's crust, which was gathered from the very bottom of the Pacific Ocean, scientists could reveal some extraordinary insight into the universe at large. When researchers brought the piece of crust out from the ocean, they found traces of a very rare form of plutonium. You've probably heard of plutonium before in the context of nuclear bombs. This is no surprise, considering plutonium comes from a volatile space event. This particular form of plutonium was forged when two neutron stars smashed into each other. The collision was so intense and powerful that it created what we call plutonium, sending it drifting through the endless vacuum of space until it eventually fell to Earth. And here's what's really going to surprise you. Scientists believe all heavy elements come from space, all from the violent death of stars. This means gold, silver, uranium, platinum, and plutonium. All this stuff is the result of exploding supernovas thousands of light years away. The next time you wear a piece of gold around your neck or a ring on your finger, remember you are actually wearing alien jewelry. Weird alien worlds. Since 2018, NASA has found over 5,000 alien worlds. Almost all of them are bizarre, but some are weirder than others. These worlds are referred to as exoplanets. Astronomers see them whenever they pass in front of bright stars and in the line of sight of a telescope. It sounds pretty basic, but scientists are able to find out a lot of information using this method. They can see the characteristics of exoplanets, like their size and shape, and sometimes even what they're made of. Let's take a look at some of the more outlandish planets found by NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, or TESS. TOI-2109b orbits its star in only 16 hours and is only positioned 1.5 million miles away from it. To give you perspective, the Earth is 93 million miles from the Sun and orbits once a year. This proximity makes the temperature on TOI-2109b an outstanding 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Then there is GJ367b, which orbits its Sun in 8 hours and has a daytime temperature of 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Some of these planets are also way bigger than our own. TOI-1634b is rocky just like Earth, but with a radius over 2 times our own. Then there are planets like TOI-700d, which is positioned in the habitable zone of its star and only 100 light-years away. It's only a little bigger than Earth, about the same distance from its Sun, and could even host life. The Accident. The Accident is a strange cosmic object that got its name after being discovered completely by accident. Get it? Creative, I know. It is technically a brown dwarf, yet it doesn't look anything like the over 2,000 brown dwarfs that astronomers have identified in our galaxy so far. Brown dwarfs form as if they will turn into stars, but never manage to generate enough mass to start a nuclear fusion. In other words, these are failed stars. In the case of The Accident, it confused scientists because it appeared to be cold and old, but also extremely bright, as if it were hot. This is weird for a brown dwarf because when they're young, they get extremely hot, then cool down and get dim as they grow older, like a red-hot piece of metal being moved out of the fire. This brown dwarf is estimated at around 13 billion years old. That's over double the average age of all known brown dwarfs. It would have formed at the very beginning of the universe. What this suggests is that the brown dwarf was born at a time when the galaxy didn't have as much carbon in it as it does today. It was missing many of the molecules that we see in other brown dwarfs, leaving it uniquely bright as if still warm, yet undeniably cold and dead. Saturn's newest moon. Saturn has enough moons to make every other planet in the galaxy jealous. And in 2013, astronomers identified yet another one. They called it Peggy. She was found hiding at the edge of Saturn's A ring. The tiny moon is only 1.2 miles wide, making it barely more than a floating pebble in the grand scheme of space. But in 2014, astronomers couldn't find Peggy. She had vanished. Planetary scientist Carl Murray believed Peggy was either thrown into the void of space or smashed apart in a collision with another one of Saturn's moons. Then, in 2015, Peggy came back. She was still there in 2016, but not fully intact. The moon had hit something, scraping a big chunk out of it. That small chunk is now an even smaller, miniature moon called Peggy B. Scientists even think that Peggy may have been the result of something hitting something else and breaking apart, causing a huge chunk of rock to get caught up in the gravitational pull of Saturn. It's pretty amazing because these things happen all the time. Moons come and go, just not in a single person's lifetime. These things happen over millions and millions of years, so it was pretty spectacular that we were able to watch the birth of one of these celestial objects in real time. If Earth ever managed to get itself a second moon, what do you think we should call it? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching! Be sure to subscribe for more awesome space videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!